Hi, my name is Megha Murthy, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Roundglass Sustain, a social impact initiative that tells stories of India's natural world. Telling stories of India's natural world would be incomplete without stories of environmental stewardship by its communities, both indigenous and urban. From the Chipko movement and the Narmada Bachao Andolan of the 1970s and 80s to the more recent Save the Mollem campaign, India has seen some pivotal grassroots movements that have been instrumental in the protection and conservation of its natural world. These movements have been successful because of the relationship grassroots communities have had with their environment, a connection that has been built upon the principles of reverence, of ownership, and duty towards the natural world. In this section, we bring you inspiring stories of hunters turned conservationists, residents that sacrifice their own comforts to protect their wilderness, and citizen action that saves an urban dying lake. In our first film, The Rebirth of Mangalajodi, is the story of residents of Mangalajodi, a village in Odisha, who for generations hunted and feasted on birds that visited its local wetland. But in 1998, a conservation initiative turned the tide and converted the hunters of Mangalajodi into skilled naturalists and protectors of the habitat. The next film, Wings of Hope, is the story of the people of Menar, or the Menarias, because of whom thousands of resident and migratory birds feel secure in the heart of this bustling village. The third film is Bugun and Forest of Hope, which is the fascinating tale in the dense forests of Arunachal Pradesh, where a critically endangered bird has brought a community and its forests together. Our final film is on the revival of the Sikandarpur Lake, a small water body in Gurgaon, NCR, that has turned into a garbage dump until local citizen groups decided to clean it up. Today, it is a haven for birds and a source of hope in a polluted concrete city. These black-tailed godwits are having a feast. After all, they've travelled all the way from Iceland and Central Asia to spend their winters here and must fuel up. Thankfully, this wetland in Odisha offers a generous buffet of aquatic plants, fish, crustaceans and insects, inviting a variety of takers. Everyone seems happy with their share. Well, almost everyone. The resident egrets and herons also wait for winter, when the water is shallow and fishing easier. Here, each one gets to pick a fish that matches their taste, including the locals. Nearly 4,000 people depend on this wetland named after their village, Mangalajodi. But this paradise was once almost lost. The Mangalajodi wetland lies on the northwestern edge of the Chilika Lagoon, India's largest wintering ground for migratory birds. Here, the wetland's fresh water meets the lagoon's salt water, creating a marshy habitat. Every winter, it welcomes more than 300,000 wetland birds. Black-tailed godwits, black-winged stilts, plovers, rails, waders and waterfowls travel thousands of kilometers to spend their winters in this marsh. Locals have hunted birds for generations here. But in the early 1990s, the situation worsened when the nearby restaurants added bird meat to their menu. The promise of better income lured the villagers. In the dead of the night, many laced the vegetation with a hazardous pesticide called furutin. At dawn, hundreds of birds fed on poisoned plants and dropped dead. Boatloads of corpses were sold in the meat markets of Odisha. The mass killings drastically reduced the number of birds. The wetland and its birds were suffering. But in 1998, Wild Orissa, a non-profit conservation organization, began to slowly turn the tide in Mangalajodi. After several years of concerted efforts by conservationists, the hunters reassessed their impact on the ecosystem. Soon, many poachers joined hands with Wild Orissa to form bird protection committees. The hunters turned into skilled naturalists and used their intimate knowledge of bird behavior for their protection. Tourism became an alternative source of income, while fishing continued to provide sustenance. The journey was long and challenging, but the reward exceeded expectations. In just 2 decades, Mangalajodi revived. Now, poaching has been eliminated and birds have returned in large numbers. The number of tourists multiply every year. Wildlife photographers and bird lovers flock to the wetland.
Mangalajodi attracted me not only because it's a very good birding area, because it has been the epitome of history of conservation. Here the guides and the boatmen were previously poachers, but they are now very good guides and they are actively involved in preserving the ecosystem and the birds of Mangalajodi.
The villagers of Mangalajodi have revitalized their wetland and turned an adversity into an opportunity for themselves and for their avian friends.
दुनिया में तो सबसे अगर कोई चीज़ है, ईश्वर की बनाई पक्षी ही हैं। हम आप सभी यहाँ हैं तो इन पक्षियों की वजह से हैं।
मेरा ये जुनून है कि मैं हर दिन की इनकी एक्टिविटी दोनों टाइम की नहीं देखता हूँ, तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि आज मैं अपनी लाइफ का कुछ मिस कर गया हूँ।
About 50 kilometers from Udaipur, a bird village tells us a unique story of hope and love. Minar is not a reserved bird area, yet its avian residents thrive alongside its humans. Thousands of resident and migratory birds feel secure, even in the heart of a bustling village. The reason are the Minarias, the local people of Minar. These passionate bird lovers call themselves Pakshi Mitra, or friends of birds.
मिनार ने सदियों से इस वाटर बॉडी को सहेजा हुआ है। यहाँ हंटिंग नहीं होती है, शिकार किसी प्रकार का नहीं होता, खुद नहीं करते। बाहर के कोई लोग आते हैं तो मिनार का इतना डर है कि वो यहाँ शिकार कर नहीं पाते हैं। नॉर्दर्न पिनटेल और ग्रेनर कीज।
The Pakshi Mitra have been trained on bird behavior by the Forest Department. and given binoculars to help them protect the birds.
यहाँ की जो चिड़ियाँ थी, हम बचपन में जब तालाब में नहाया करते थे, सारे काले काले बर्ड्स नज़र आते थे हमें। लेकिन अब जब मैं इनको देखने लगा हूँ, इनकी एक्टिविटीज़ को वॉच करने लगा हूँ, पहले हम लगता था कि पूरा तालाब बतखों से भरा हुआ है। अब लगता है कि यहाँ पे बतखों में पेलिकन्स है, फ्लेमिंगोज है, नॉर्दर्न शाउलर है, नॉर्दर्न पिनटेल है, यहाँ पे कॉमन कूड्स है, ग्रेट क्रेस्टेड ग्रीब है, ग्रे लेग गीज है, बार हेडेड गीज है। तो डिफरेंट डिफरेंट नेम सब आते हैं, उनके नाम जानते हैं, उनकी चोंच को देखते हैं, उनके पैरों को देखते हैं, मज़ा आता है।
The villagers do not use water from the lakes and ponds for irrigation, maintaining a consistent water level through the year.
सुबह शाम तालाब के इर्द गिर्द हम पेट्रोलिंग करते ही हैं। धन तालाब है, इसमें पहले खेती करते थे, लेकिन जो यहाँ के बुज़ुर्ग हैं उन्होंने इन पक्षियों के लिए वो खेती का ठेका देना भी बंद कर दिया। उससे इनकम होती थी गांव को, वो भी इनके लिए छोड़ दिया।
To ensure plenty of food for the birds, the elders of Minar have even banned fishing in these water bodies.
फ़िशिंग का आज दिन तक कभी यहाँ पर ठेका नहीं दिया गया है, मछलियों का कभी कोई यहाँ पर ठेका नहीं दिया गया, तो पक्षियों के लिए वो बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छा है।
From time to time, the birds also reward the villagers for their love and friendship.
पिछले साल की एक घटना है, कॉमन क्रेन्स आते हैं अपने यहाँ। कॉमन क्रेन का खाना क्या है, आसपास के खेतों में जाएंगे, चने के खेतों में, और उनके वो जो शूट्स होते हैं उनको खाते हैं। तो पिछले साल ये हुआ कि कॉमन क्रेन ने वो शूट्स खा लिए। अब वो किसान रोने लगा यार कि मेरे चने सारे खा गए, लेकिन उनके खाने से उनकी जो फुटान थी वो ज़्यादा हो गई, तो उस साल उसका प्रोडक्शन अच्छा हुआ। तो इस साल मुझे वो पूछ रहा था किसान कि यार भाई वो अपने क्रेन कब आ रहे हैं इस साल।
The birds of Minar are its pride, and the Minarias have set a fine example for their neighbors.
इससे दूसरे आसपास के गांव वालों को भी सीखने को मिल रहा है कि किस तरह से मैनार ने नाम कमाया है पक्षियों की वजह से। तो वो चाहते हैं कि हमारे यहाँ भी पक्षी आए, तो अगर वो चाहेंगे पक्षी आए तो वो पानी को बचाएंगे, और पानी को बचाएंगे तो निश्चित रूप से बायोडाइवर्सिटी बढ़ेगी।
cái nằm chơi na mới là bằng cả thà mình phơi là phần ra quay con siêu bia gió sân khấu na siêu bia là tung đi na con na siêu phơi là phần
In Arunachal Pradesh, almost 80% of the total forest area is directly under the control of local communities. So this 17 square kilometer Singchung Bugun Village Community Reserve was also created out of one such community control forest area, which in this case is the Bugun community. So this is the land where the critically endangered Bugun Leochikla is found, which has not been reported anywhere else in the world.
Singchung village is home to my community, the Bugun, an indigenous tribe of Arunachal Pradesh. We are a small but old community, and today only 2000 of us survive in these hills. My name is Shalina Finia and I am Bugun. I love using my camera to document stories of my community. I am part of the forest patrolling team of Singchung Bugun Village Community Reserve.
वाइल्ड लाइफ जो प्रोटेक्ट करने का मेरा स्ट्रेंथ बढ़ गया। अभी हमको मिला है टोटल 9 लड़का 1 लड़की।
हम लोग पेट्रोलिंग हफ्ता में 4 दिन करता है। 10 में से 4 टीम में डिवाइड किया हम लोग पेट्रोलिंग के लिए। तो हम लोग हर रूट को हर अलग अलग दिन में हम लोग कवर करता है। हंटिंग बैन है या टिम्बर कटिंग बैन है या बेम्बू कटिंग बैन है, तो हम लोग बैन तो बोलता है, अगर उसको प्रोटेक्ट नहीं करेगा, हम लोग जाके पेट्रोलिंग नहीं करेगा, तो कोई तो अंदर से कटिंग कर रहा होगा, कोई हंटिंग कर रहा होगा। तो इसलिए हम लोग पेट्रोलिंग स्काउट बनाया ताकि अंदर घुस के हम लोग काम कर सके। जैसे हम पेट्रोलिंग जाता है तो कभी कभी चिड़िया अगर कुछ नया दिखाई दे तो हमको उसको मोबाइल या कैमरा से शूट करके घर में जाके बुक से आइडेंटिफाई करके देखता है कि आखिर ये क्या चिड़िया है, कौन से नाम का है। तो ऐसे करके घर में आके शाम को चेक करके देख लेता है।
सबसे पहले हम शहर में काम करते समय में तो हमने यहाँ प्लांट्स के बारे में जानकारी काफ़ी अच्छा से मिला है। और हम पेट्रोलिंग करते समय में यहाँ में काफ़ी प्रकार से मिलता है। यहाँ का हम लोग का टीटा पत्ता मिलता है, उससे बहुत चीज़ मेडिसिन बनता है उससे, क्योंकि उसे हाथ करने से आपका उसका खून को ब्लॉक कर सकता है और आपका पेट दर्द से उसको खा सकता है।
นี่เถอะสู้แรกอารึกมินี่เถอะฟงฟูวัวนะผู้รักชิงเถอะแรกอีบีอ้วนเถอะผู้อ้วนเฉดแป้งนะการพ่มเถอะอารึกมุสาเอาเถอะนี่เถอะแรกเป็น important ทัว
पहले तो हम लोग बेफिक्र मार देता था, गन लिया मार दो खा दो। सीआर में ज्वाइन किया तब से जंगल जा के जानवर चिड़िया कीड़ा मकोड़ा लोगों के साथ इतना अटैच हो गया। मतलब ऐसा लगता है कि उन लोगों का भाषा भी हम लोग को समझ में आता है, उन लोगों का दर्द हम लोग को समझ में आता है। तो अभी तो हम लोग को लग रहा है कि हम लोग का ही परिवार है।
This does not happen too often that a community becomes so eager and so ready to part with their land which was under their control to make it into a community reserve.
The Singchung forest is not only a hope for the survival of the endangered Bugun Leochikla, it is also a hope for the revival of the Bugun as a community, our language, our identity, and our future.
In the middle of a city of concrete and glass is a small water body, one that bears testimony to the fact that change for better is possible and that every effort counts. But the place wasn't always like this. It was once a dumping ground for garbage and debris in the urban village of Sikandarpur Ghosi. Before that, it was a part of a seasonal stream that used to drain rainwater from the Aravalis. But with growing urbanization, severe degradation of the Aravali watershed, and coming up of a network of roads, the stream was fragmented and blocked. And water started to collect at this low point. Over time, the water body turned into a cesspool of sewage from Sikandarpur and surrounding buildings, overrun with invasive hyacinths, phragmites, and other weeds. A recent study by the Gurugram Metropolitan Development Authority or GMDA revealed that 184 water bodies in the Gurugram district are beyond revival or restoration. But luckily, this little water body had a better future waiting. All thanks to timely action by citizen groups. In early 2020, IIM Gurgaon and Surge, along with the GMDA, took on the tough task of cleaning up and reviving the Sikandarpur water body.
I felt that there is an opportunity to reuse this water. There is an opportunity for us to create this as a collection point. It took us a few days to understand how do we move around this area. Because you could see a water body which was full of hyacinth. There was no way to reach there. And you could see pigs and you could see a lot of plastic dumped around.
If this project worked, the payoffs could be big. It could recharge the groundwater and improve the watershed of this severely water-scarce and polluted region. But for that to happen, many challenges had to be met head-on. First step was to clear encroachments. Then the surrounding area had to be cleaned out. Paths had to be laid around the water body so trucks and earth movers could access it. Tons of debris had to be dealt with.
There were different shapes and sizes of construction debris, and we kind of put them in different lots because some of the lot could be reused.
One of the hardest exercises was removal of the invasive species that had taken over. When nothing else seemed to work, there was always good old Indian jugaad.
It took us a couple of months to take that hyacinth out because you couldn't get your machines in the middle. If you take out the hyacinth, what will you do with it? We can't just dump it around. So we actually took up an area, put the hyacinth there in layers to make manure.
After this, the sludge had to be dredged and taken out. And plastics had to be removed from the water body and the surroundings.
I'm not just talking about small plastic, we're talking about truckloads of plastic. Then you would segregate the plastic and kind of dispose of the plastic separately. Almost everything we were trying to reuse or recycle or send it to the right place.
At a nursery nearby, saplings were prepared to plant native species around the water body. Plantation drives were started in the entire area. In 2 months, the water body was cleared considerably. But soon work had to stop due to the pandemic. When it resumed, the place already looked dramatically transformed. Even though there's a long way to go before the full vision of the revival project comes to life, it already gives Gurugram some much needed hope.
It will take us 1 or 2 years or maybe more. The biggest thing about cleaning is kind of over. It's not finished, but it's never ending because there will be so much plastic coming out forever. And the next level of plantation is starting, and the third level will be the interventions to create this space for public to use.
When complete, This project will be exemplary for Gurugram. With a thriving water body, plenty of birds, and vegetation endemic to the Aravalis, Sikandarpur would be a natural filter for pollutants and disease, and an inclusive space for citizens to feel one with nature.